Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Miss.
Morning there. How are you doing today?
It's a great.
Okay.
Good morning, Miss.
Morning, sweetheart.
Good morning, Miss.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning. Morning.
Morning.
Morning, everybody. Morning. I'm taking it that we're all feeling nice and fresh. And that our assignments have been done. Hello. Hello. Am I correct, Brigade?
Repeat, Miss?
Assignments done, don't it?
Yes, Miss.
That's
Yes.
right. That's the spirit. Tashin, you too? Homework sorted?
Of course, Miss.
Good, that's the spirit. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Jonathan, assignment finished?
After.
Jonathan?
Yes, Miss.
What?
Nathan,
So excited. I'm ready. I'm ready for the presentations. Awesome. All right, so we're giving the others a chance to get here. Good morning, Teacher Barnett.
Good morning, everyone.
morning.
Good morning. And Teacher Brown, let them know that it's not going to be a practice where we wait for them each class, because this is about their second, third or so class.
Yes.
And some persons didn't have the link. That is why, but going forward, it won't be that we're waiting on you. We'll give you about 2 minutes after. Given that this is your first class, you're not coming from anywhere, we're going to begin promptly. So don't think that, oh, Miss is going to give you time to just get with us. 9:02 and we're gone.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So for some persons are still coming in. All right. So for your assignment, you were asked to look up what is a register, and you were also asked to find the different types of registers, right? Providing examples of each. Additionally, you were supposed to explain what are communicative behaviors. Similarly, finding examples and explaining, right? But before we get into all of that jazz, we're going to recap what we discussed in our previous lesson as soon as I get these people inside the classroom. I think we can start now, Barney. There are 44 persons online.
Yeah, man, we can begin. So after recap, I'll do the check for the grade 13 student.
Okay. All right. So we looked at language versus a language in our last class, right? Could Rashida Williams tell me the difference between the two? What is language as opposed to a language? What's the difference?
A language is what a individual speak, as in English, Spanish, or something like that. And language is the person that speaks it. Yes.
The person? You sure?
Did I still sleeping?
Can someone assist Rashida? Who wants to volunteer to assist her before calling you?
Morning, Miss.
Morning.
A language has, like, it follows a certain system that is unique and has vocabulary, like meaning, the structure and vocabulary is different from other languages. Languages is like a verbal expression used with speaking humans.
Okay, great job. Thank you. I'm seeing Ricardo Hall as well. Ricardo, go ahead.
Also, the difference between language and a language. So language is human way of expression by which one uses it to express thoughts and ideas, while a language is the distinct vocabulary or speech of a particular territory, country, or region. Yes, that's it.
All right, and that was all from your head, Ricardo?
Yes, Mr. Don. Yes, what? Yes, sir.
I was just gonna ask Ricardo, and it sounded so rehearsed.
Right, right? And the camera not on. All right, thank you, Ricardo. You hit the nail on the head. Thank you very much. And the same for Sashane. Thank you, guys. All right, so good job. As the difference between language versus a language. So we had discussed that there were certain characteristics that are necessary for a language to be considered a language, right? Natural characteristics. Now, one of those was that language is human, right? So why do we say that language is not, why don't we say that animals speak language? For example, a parrot. Why don't we say a parrot uses language? Explain that for me, please. Why is language a human phenomenon as opposed to animals being involved as well?
It's because the animals, they don't use language, but they have other means of communicating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but can you go a little deeper for me, please, in terms of or biological construct?
Mm-hmm.
Please have a voice back.
Close and see it.
So, who is that talking in the background? All right, so biologically speaking, how are we set up as opposed to the animals? So yes, we have a voice box. Is there anything else innately human?
Miss have a brain systematic.
Huh?
Miss, our brain, it's systematic. It can hold a conversation.
All right, so humans are born with the capacity to actually construct sentences, right? To hold a detailed conversation, as opposed to the animals who really, even if they use their thoughts language, they cannot actually have a discussion, right? It's very robotic in a sense. They only say whatever they caught, and their vocabulary is very limited. They can't really talk to you. So humans have a voice box, right? Our brains are wired to acquire language, while animals, they acquire their means of communication in an innate way. So they're just born knowing how to bark. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Another factor, another characteristic of the language is that it is dynamic. Can someone explain that to me, please? What does it mean by language being dynamic?
Words can be used in different ways and terms.
Repeat that.
Some words can be used in different ways and terms.
Yes. Any other way you could explain that? Dynamic.
Language can evolve over time.
I'm looking for a word beginning with E. Nicolene said it in the chat. It is always changing. It always evolves, right? So language does not stay stagnant. It is always moving, right? Words change meanings. New words are added to the dictionary because of different developments in life and experiences. Correct? So that is right. Another factor was the maturational factor. Can you explain that for me, please? Maturational aspect of.
It develops over time.
Right. Now, at first, I remember saying to you guys that they're kind of one and the same, right? However, I found an explanation that goes a little bit more in depth, that gives a line of demarcation between the two, even if it's very small. There is a difference between the two. Allow me to find it real quick. I'm gonna get back to it for you later. All right, maturational versus dynamic. There is a slight difference between the two. Maturational deals with the fact that as humans grow older, right, we are more able to use language in a meaningful way, in a more complex way. So for example, the way a 4-year-old speaks is not the same a 20-year-old speaks, assuming there are no developmental delays, right? So as we grow older or mature, our capacity to really speak and converse grows, it expands, it evolves, all right? So maturation doesn't deal with the fact that language is dynamic. It also is attached to the fact that humans ourselves, as we grow, we also become more. Can I mute your mic, please, sweetheart? Kiana, your mic's still not muted.
So Miss.
Yes.
Miss, is when you look on the word maturation, and I can see that, like, as I said, that it develops over time, this in a more meaningful way, and the comparison between a 4-year-old, how a 4-year-old speaks, and say a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old speak, you can see that there is some level of maturity in the way, in their language, basically.
Correct. Thank you, Sashane. Right, so allow me to read it for you verbatim from the text, verbatim. It says, language acquisition is maturational. This means that as a normal human being develops and grows older, he will gain the use of more words and more complex sentences than he was formerly taught. The human brain will generate novel words, meaning new words, and utterances, and the speaker will even use old words, and expressions in new ways. This is what keeps language dynamic. So the maturational factor contributes to the dynamic nature of language. Can we see that relationship happening right there? Or did I lose anybody? You may unmute yourself to respond. If you are lost, raise your hand, please. If you are lost, raise your hand. I'm seeing one hand so far. 2. Whoa. Okay, the hands are coming in. So Vanille, I saw your hands first. Can you please explain to me what part of what I've said lost you?
Miss, the part where maturation and dynamic connect.
All right, so let me go again. All right. So when we say language is dynamic, we mean that language is always changing, right? Language is always evolving. It doesn't stay the same. So for example, back in the day, there were some words that were hip to be used. Nowadays, if you use them, you're considered to be outdated, right? They have lost their relevance in today's society. Not only that, there are some words that are introduced now that were not used back in olden days. So for example, in the 1920s, the word computer or the word laptop wouldn't have been a thing. You understand that, Vanille? Right?
Yes.
So as time progresses, new words are added to the vocabulary of language, right? And words are lost in the process. On board still. Yes?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
All right. So now we're going to move to the factor of maturational aspect. All right? So when we say maturational, we're talking about, think about the word maturing. All right? And we're thinking about the humans themselves. Not the language itself, but the humans. All right? So as we grow older, we become more mature. And in becoming more mature, our ability to have complex conversations increases. So for example, a child who is 2 will not be able to hold the level and quality of conversation that a 60 or a 40-year-old adult is able to have, right? Because their brains have not developed to that state as yet. They're not able to process such complex thoughts at that particular point in time. But as they mature, they're able to use new words themselves. They can even create their own words. They're able to even integrate old words in new ways. So that's what we're talking about. Right. So in that way now, the maturational factor is linked to the dynamic nature of language. Are we seeing it now?
Miss,
Yes,
I
miss.
have a miss. I have a point, miss.
Yes, go ahead, Alex.
All right, miss. So what I get from this, all right, maturation means like a developmental process in which the person is growing over a period of time.
Yes.
But when you look on it, miss, does it aspect of time to come into it? Because remember, say during the decades, certain things will change, and that person will pick up new terms and those things. So time and the years go with it, don't it, miss?
Yes. Right, so time plays a factor, time and experience. Naturally, in life, once growth is involved, time contributes to growth, so does experience. Right? Right, Alex? Right.
Yes, miss.
All right. So is it clearer now, the persons who had their hands raised? Do you understand now?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. So we also said language was systematic. Can somebody explain what that meant? Systematic nature of language? All right, Micaiah, I see your answer. Thank you. Language is systematic. Can someone take that one for me, please?
Miss, it basically means that each language follows a different set of rules and it has its own peculiarities.
That's correct. Very good. All right, so every language has its own way of constructing its pluralization, different grammatical rules, different grammatical structures. So for a language to be considered a language, it must be rule governed. Otherwise, it's a free-for-all and you cannot learn it. All right? We also said that language is it symbolic? You said that, right?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
explain what it means, please, by being symbolic. Someone explain that for me, please.
Yes, there is no reason behind the language or word.
Repeat that, please, Mama.
Sorry, miss, there is no reason behind it.
Miss,
It's arbitrary.
So language is arbitrary. Yes, Shakara.
there's no real reason. Like, there's no reason why a book is called a book.
Mm-hmm. So the word and what it represents, right? There's no connection between the two. So what happens is that we have agreed as a community of speakers, we have agreed that this item, we're going to call this item a book. We're going to call this item a fan. So it's agreed upon, but there's nothing funny or booky about the item in particular. All right?
Miss, it just uses characters or images to represent a concept or a thought.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. All right? Now, we also said that language is non-instinctive. Non-instinctive. Can somebody explain that?
That means we have to learn it. We cannot use like common sense. We have to learn it, like the basic content of it. We have to learn everything.
All right, so language is taught, right? It's not innate. So we're not born speaking, just like how a dog is born barking. He cannot bark without any effort at all, right? We have to be in an environment where we are being immersed in the language, and so we adopt it by being around the language. We are taught the language, whether formally or otherwise. Okay. Am I missing out anything?
No.
Yes, miss, except for language is verbal.
Ah, language is verbal. All right, so can you explain that one for me, please? It is verbal. I think that one is self-explanatory though. We don't have to delve into that. All right, so we're all on the same page. Kiana, you're on board? Kiana Williams, you're on board?
Yes, miss, I'm on board.
Okay, awesome. Awesome sauce. All right, so now we're going to segue into our presentations. All right, we want to start with language registers first. Now I'm going to choose the persons I want to present today. All right, so David McCleary, can I hear from you, please? David, could you please unmute your mic? So I'm going to assume that David is not near his computer. And as a result, I'm going to move David to the waiting room because he's not.
Hold on, miss. Which David? Which David?
McCleary.
Oh.
I'm not hearing from him. He's still muted. David, are you there? Sir? Okay, so he is there. Not hearing anything. All right, I'm going to come back to you, David. Tiana Edwards. Tiana?
Yes, miss.
All right, go ahead, please. Language registers.
The different types of language registers?
Yes, and what is a register?
Language register is the level of formality in which you speak.
Okay, and the various types?
Statistic, formal, casual, consultative, and
Consultative?
intimate. Yes, miss.
Consultative.
Oh, yes, sorry. Consultative and intimate.
All right, thank you. I want you to tell me about the casual register, please. Tiana?
Yes, miss.
Tell me about the casual register, please.
Oh, well. Casual register is the language used between friends. Words are general rather than technical. So used between friends.
Okay. So thank you, Tiana. So as she said, right, register refers to the level of formality used in our communications, right, in our language with others. Now, she mentioned several of them. She mentioned consultative, she mentioned formal, she mentioned casual and intimate. There's another I'm missing at the moment, right? But as it relates to the casual register, go ahead, Brigade.
Miss, I was saying the static register.
Miss, I said that one.
Yeah, no, I was within that one.
Oh.
All right. So, as it relates to the casual register, that is the use between friends, the formality between friends, which is not very formal, is it? How do you talk to your friends? Do you say, hello, Miss Vanille, how are you doing today? Did you have breakfast this morning? What's good? Do you talk to your friends like that? How do you talk to your friends?
It's when you're joking around, you do that.
Informally, with slang, correct part. Right? So we don't talk to our friends as though we're talking to our mothers or teachers. It's an entirely different way of communicating. Am I correct?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
All right. So Arlene Mitchell, I would like to hear from you about the intimate register, please. Intimate register. Arlene?
Yes, miss.
Yes. Could you tell us about the intimate register, please?
So, examples of the intimate registers are husband and wife.
Before examples, explain what it is first.
So it's the highly formal language used among family members and close friends. So some examples are husband and wife, boyfriend.
Are you guys able to hear Arlene? She sounds very low on my end.
Barely.
Yeah, Arlene, could you speak a bit louder for me, please?
Are you guys hearing me now?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so intimate register is the highly formal language used among family members and close friends. So some examples would be husband and wife, siblings, parents, and children.
All right, thank you. So the intimate register is the register used, language used between close individuals, right? Like family members or mostly family members, all right? Husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, son, that kind of vibe, all right? And there are certain words that are specific to intimate register. Once you hear those words, you say, all right, yeah, they're intimate. So for example, I say, come here, sweetheart. Do you call anybody a sweetheart?
No, miss.
Right, it requires a level of intimacy before you can do that with somebody in it. All right, so we have the casual register and we have the intimate. Is anyone lost so far? Great. All right, so I want to hear about the consultative register. And I'm looking for a male. I'm scrolling through. Is this Theodore? Theodore, can I hear from you, please? Theodore? Please explain the consultative register. Nathan, I'm seeing your chat. Yes, you're correct. Who did I just call?
Miss.
Yes, Shakara?
Miss, it's like what is something else in it because my work that I have communicative behaviors. What are we doing? Something when the speaker use
Proxemics. Oh yes, no. You were given 2 tasks. You were supposed to look at the registers and communicative behaviors.
So I only did one. Sorry about that, miss.
All right, that's okay. So Theodore says his mic is not working. Go ahead and type it. So while Theodore is typing about the consultative register, I would like to hear from Janelle Foster about the static register. Janelle?
Yes, miss.
Go ahead, please.
Miss, I do not. Oh, yeah. Okay. So at this level, language is literally frozen in time and form. It does not change. This type of language is often learned and repeated by rote, example, biblical verse, and prayers.
Okay. Thank you. So another term for static register is frozen register. All right. So you will see mostly frozen register. No, that is language that doesn't really change. When you speak it, you're not really expecting a response. All right.
The national anthem.
For example, very good. All right. We're not expecting anybody to respond to us. Or when we say the pledge, we're not expecting any response in answer to our pledge. Am I correct, guys?
Yes,
yes.
All right, so that's what makes it frozen, right? We don't expect a response when we speak these things. Or if we say a prayer.
Miss, can a motivational
Go ahead.
Miss, can a motivational quote be one? Like something you hear from a philosopher?
Well, you're not expecting a response for real. Perhaps. Barnett, what do you think?
Miss, I think not, miss.
Barnett?
Miss, I think not. With the person's response, I don't agree. I agree with the example you gave.
Okay. So as it relates to, thank you, as it relates to the motivational speaker, their quote, it wouldn't be considered to be a frozen register. All right?
Okay.
So mostly centers on prayers, pledges, and anthems. All right? All right.
Okay, thank you.
What if like someone is given a presentation to deliver and they are just, let's say, they don't have any vibes with it? Would that be static, or it would come under our next heading?
No, that has to do with how you're delivering. That has to come. That will come under communicative behavior, as it relates to their demeanor. However, as is, it doesn't have to do anything with register in that point in time. All right.
Okay.
All right. So Theodore has posted his response about the consultative register because he says his mic is not working. So he says, this is the register used when consulting an expert, such as a doctor. The language used is more precise. The speaker is likely to address the expert by a title such as Dr., Mr., or Mrs. All right? So when we think of the consultative register, we're thinking about expert versus non-expert. All right? So it's always somebody who is very versed in a particular area, communicating or consultating with someone who is not as versed in a particular area. So for example, I said, going to the doctor. Who is the more versed person in the particular area?
The doctor.
The doctor, right? While the patient is seeking information.
Miss, it's like a superior and a subordinate.
Very good, similar, yes. So for example, think about even a classroom setting or a PTA, right? When the parents come to consult with teachers, let's say you have parents consultation day. In that instance, who is considered to be the expert?
The teacher.
The teachers, right? And the parents are coming to seek information from said persons. So consultative is always in the context of expert versus non-expert. All right? Now, I would like to hear about the formal register. The form, is Abigail Brooks belongs to this class? Abigail Brooks? Okay, yes. Formal register. Can I hear from Matthew? Matthew, why isn't your mic on anyways? Your camera on. Matthew? Thomas, yes?
Sorry. It's a formal register is used
Hold
in
on,
formal.
Matthew. First and foremost, what's going on with your camera?
Go tell brother this.
Huh?
Miss, I didn't want to turn it on. That's why, miss.
You sound like you're still sleeping, Matthew. And bear in mind, it's a requirement for classes, all right? Unless there's some extreme reason why it cannot be turned on, it should be on for students, okay?
Yes, miss.
All right. Go ahead.
Miss, a formal register is used in formal social settings, almost and always involves the use of SE.
The use of what?
SE, miss.
I can't hear that.
SE, miss.
SE? Could you give an example of a formal register, please?
Miss, Miss, for example, like a presentation or a academic paper.
Okay, thank you. All right, so a formal formal register is void of slangs, right? So you use the standard language in communicating in that particular register, because you're speaking many times in a professional setting or with persons of a particular status or in certain contexts. So for example, when I'm in the classroom, we're in a formal setting, school. So we are encouraged to use the standard Jamaican English because of the context of our conversation. Okay? Okay, guys?
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Yes, miss.
Awesome sauce. So is there anyone who is still unclear or needs some clarification regarding
Hello,
what is just covered? If you need more clarification, please raise your hand. Awesome, not seeing any hands, great. Now we're going to move on to communicative behaviors. Shakara, go ahead.
I was agreeing with him.
I know. So communicative behavior, go ahead, tell me about that, please. What is incorporate? What are the various types?
This is based on communicative behaviors. This is basically what is communicated to the listener by the speaker. It's the impression that they get. The speaker may be unaware of the impressions, but they say a lot about a person.
Okay. So basically, communicative behaviors is kind of unspoken language, isn't it?
Yes, miss, that's right.
All right, so it's unspoken, it's non-verbal. Barnett?
I was saying Shakara should give us an example just to make sure she really understands the research.
Okay.
So for example,
hold on, Shakara. Mr. Brown, we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So students, once the class ends, just join back right away.
Okay.
Yes, Shakara, go ahead.
So for example, I'm speaking. So for instance, you just right now you asked me to present. Say for instance, I am using my hands whilst talking, or I'm tapping on the desk while explaining. That can show that I'm nervous, but I'm aware, I'm unaware that I'm showing that I'm nervous. Also, for boys, they might be scratching their heads while they explain something. That can show that they're not sure, or so on. That's what I get.
Alex.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Alex is saying something?
No, Alex was doing the same thing, Shakara, and then he just stopped mid.
Okay, thank you, Shakara. You're accurate. All right. So there are different kinds of communicative behaviors. All right. Could you list the ones you found, Shakara?
What is it, miss?
List the various kinds of communicative behaviors you found.
Okay, so I found vocalists.
Vocalics?
Yes. Artifacts.
Uh-huh. That's it so far? All right, so we're gonna expire in a couple of seconds. Just come back, all right? And when she comes back, we're gonna continue. I'm gonna ask someone else to provide examples of each of those kinds.